Hey, this is just a quick video. I'm doing a church, and initially they were saying they just wanted some aisle space in the middle and around. So what I did was I just did a polyline PL all the way around to offset in 5 feet, which is your typical clearance for aisle widths. I started laying in just a basic. They said they were using stackable chairs, so I took just a basic 20-inch wide by 25-inch deep chair and just kind of created, gave myself 2 inches space, and went ahead and pulled it off another foot from this line, which represents, because this is the stage and typically want a little bit more space up there. So went ahead and pulled it back, and then I offset from the face of this chair to the face of here is 4'6", which gives me basically 2'5" clearance, which is just enough for people to squeeze by. Um, But as I was laying this out, and I used a polyline to offset, 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 just wasn't really creating a good scenario for the chairs, and they weren't really lining up very well. So I wanted to show you a trick that you can use with a polyline and a curve and the measure command. And so what I did was I've got a polyline here and a polyline here. And I just start off by finding a radius that will get pretty close without encroaching too far this way. So like, for instance, if I do F for fillet, I say fillet. Some people say fillet. Whichever one you like using is fine with me. But fillet, R for radius, uh, enter. I'm going to select a 20-foot radius just to see. Once I click on the first line, you come over here. It's not too bad, but I can see that if I zoom in a little bit over here, that the line is gone past where it needs to be, and it's inside that. So I might cut it back to say I'll do escape, play, enter, radius, enter. Let's try 15 feet. And I'm going to click, and that just barely clipses that. So that's not a bad radius. So I like that radius. So I'm going to use my MA match properties and just match that. I'm also going to extend this down to this space, and then I'm just going to offset. My chairs are 25 inches deep. So offset, and you'll see why this is important in a little bit. The space was 4'6", so I'm going to offset, O enter, 4'6", go for offset enter, 25 inches, offset 4'6". And so you can see it's just kind of creating these nice curved lines that I can then rotate the chairs in, and I'll show you how I'm going to use that with the measure command and the align command. So I'm going to offset again, off 4'6". Oops, quick chair. Offset 4'6". Okay. Space enter. Offset 25. Offset 4'6". Offset 25. That's going to kind of do it for here. Put me, follow these 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, hold on a second. I got off my mark somewhere. Let's do a line dimension, AD 255. Dimension here. 4'6". Okay, let's try that again. Offset 4'6". Offset 5 inches. Offset 4'6". Offset 25. There we go. That's looking better. So it leaves me a little bit more space in the back, which is fine. A lot of people are going to come in and talk and stand back here, so I'm fine with that. Obviously, the chair spaces are not going to go through this space, so I want to go ahead and trim these lines. to match the length, and I'll show you why that's important here in just a minute. I can go ahead and extend this line to here. I don't necessarily have to. The important line is here. So with the fact that I'm slightly rotating, I'm going to add another inch. Currently I had 2, so I'm going to go ahead and just kind of erase a lot of these chairs, and I'll show you why, because I don't really need them at the moment. Take that first one. Let's just erase all these. Again, when you're erasing, if you select from bottom to right, you notice it didn't grab any of the other lines because it's a solid white grab box. If you grab and it's dashed, it will then literally grab everything in sight, which then you have to deselect by holding shift and then selecting those lines that you don't want selected. Erase. All right. So the reason it's important in this, so I want to go ahead and move this chair out another inch. And then I want to take the center point between the 2 chairs, right? So this is 1'11". The reason that's important is because when I do the measure command, it's going to put little nodes, like tiny little dots on these lines all the way across. And so the reason that's important is I want to make sure that I am using this 1'11". I'm just going to pull it down here to the side so you can still see it. But I don't want to start my 1'11" from here because that'll put it in the wrong spot. So I'm going to click on this polyline and then pull it to here at this point. Now I'll type in ME for measure. Going to select the line. It's going to ask for a length of segment. So I'm going to do 1 foot 11 inches. And so they're kind of hard to see, but there's a little dot right there. And basically these are nodes, and they all should be 1 foot 11 apart all the way down. And so now what I can do, now I'm fine on this one because this chair sits equally, but I'm hitting the curve on this next one. So I'm going to copy this chair over. I'm going to pull it out. And so there's a couple of ways that you can do it. You can do a line from the node to perpendicular and then use the align command. And select that, and then select that, and then enter, and it automatically rotates the chair. Copy the chair. And so the reason that the line helps is because you're either having to then take the chair, put it on the node, do align again, click here, and then same point. This one is going from midpoint to perpendicular, which is not correct, right? Because see, and that's why the line is important. So I typically will do, you could try to maybe do a rotate command, but it's just a pain. So I'm going to do line, space, perpendicular. Sometimes that node will be close to the midpoint, so you have to zoom in a little bit. Now, if you're wondering, on my snap settings, I can right click down here on this. It's my snap setting, track settings options. I always do endpoint, midpoint, center, node, quadrant, intersection, insertion point, and perpendicular. A lot of people love to do extension or nearest. That nearest, in my opinion, should be taken off. It is one of the worst settings possible. Maybe it's good in some other, but if you're doing architectural, never have it on nearest. And so these are the settings that I use for my object snap. The node obviously is what is creating here. So, and then the perpendicular helps me get the alignment correct. So just going to hit OK. Draw another line from here. Here. I'm just hitting space again because I've got it set to repeat the last command. So now I can just start copying, lining the chairs. And so that space is giving me the ability. Wish they had a copy align command. That would be nice. So I didn't have to copy and then do the line command by itself. There is another command called array, but it's not as easy to use. And if you've got something that's also going from straight to curved, it doesn't work as well. And it's a lot more involved and a lot more confusing. So AL for align. If you haven't set that up, go back and look at my previous video on alias editing. It's a command that I use a lot as the align command. And so I just keep, I can go ahead and, I guess this might save me some time, just copy several chairs on the way. So then I can just do line, midpoint to midpoint. Right click, do align again. This will save me a little bit of time. Midpoint, endpoint. Oops. Point to endpoint, endpoint. Just enter. Point, endpoint, endpoint. And it looks like I can fit one more chair in there. If I'm sticking out into that space a little bit, I'm not 100% worried about that. And again, this is just a preliminary layout just to kind of show the city what they were doing. They requested that, even though according to the occupant load, they could fit a certain amount. So now you can see I've got this nice row that's just very well done, maximizes the amount of chair use. And so then I would just continue to come back and then do this one. Use the measure command, ME. Oops. Escape, MWE, and AutoCAD as usual is locking up on me. So I'm going to zoom in here and just kind of click there. Do 1 foot 11. And again, this chair is still on the straight portion of the line. The next one will not be, so I'm going to go ahead and draw my lines. Yeah, it's right by that. So yeah, I'm just doing there to there, and then space ends command, space restarts the command. Oops. Next up, diagonal line. So then I'll come in and I'll just copy a bunch of these. Also there, align. What I do typically do is I come back and I erase all these little nodes, just so they're not showing up. Depending on the layer that you're using, they can show up and be. One thing to mention, the placement of this column is just unavoidable, so may have to slightly adjust and do like a space here and here, break the line, and then measure, put a chair from like this endpoint perpendicular to this endpoint, then pull the line halfway into that chair, and then I could do the measure command again, 1 foot 11 the rest of the way, so that way I'm accounting for the chair. So I guess I could show you that real quick. Let's pull this down. Yeah, I'm still going straight, but so measure, right click, enter, 1 foot 11 inches. Oops, I did a no-no. For undo, I forgot to pull this to here. Here, click, enter, 1 foot 11. Enter, you should have those, yes, rounds. So I'm going to do the measure command and copy these and see how close I get, because I want to try to keep to the same basic spacing for the most part. line. So obviously I cannot fit another chair in there. Unfortunately, there's just no way to get around that. So what I will do is I'm just going to use these lines, which is just this beam line ahead above. I'm going to trim that, and then I'm going to draw a line straight from here, here, and then I'm going to copy this chair and align it. Here. So you can see it doesn't quite fit correctly. So actually what I can do instead of doing that is take off all the names that were on this line because they're going to mess you up. So I do want the center of this to be at the 1 foot 11. So I could actually just do the measure command. Measure, select it, right click, enter, 1 foot 11. And then do my line command again. And that will then put me yeah, I guess technically I need to do whatever this space is. 10 inches. My bad. I was not thinking about that. So I'm going to undo real quick so I don't have to. I'll erase all that. Okay. The thing with undo command is you can go too far and undo something you had already done. So it was 10. So I'm going to start with doing a measure. 10 inches. Line. There's 10 inches. So now if I measure or align this, I'm right where I want to be. So, and I can leave that line and then trim the blue line to there with the TR trim command. And now I can measure this to the 1 foot 11. And that will now continue my chairs the rest of the way over. Looks like I missed. Oh wow, missed a lot of. Oh, I didn't take my 4 foot. Oh, the 10-inch marks were still all on there. So let me erase all of that real quick. Yeah. Okay. Measure. I'll get this right. 1 foot dash 11. Now I can go in and do my lines. It'll be space like it should be. Line, enter. Sometimes it's easier to pull them a little further away, not too close to each other. Kind of a pain, but it does make it a lot easier to use. They don't necessarily have to use this layout, but it does give them an easy format. One thing I will say before I finish the rest of this, I could also space these chairs out and get these two closer to this and then make this like a handicap spot so that somebody in a wheelchair can come up and sit in, which would be important. You can also designate some of these macro areas for that. I'll go ahead and copy the rest of these. One thing you can do once you've got a lot of this done is, as long as everything is the same, you can come in and just draw a midpoint line. And even though this isn't going to look necessarily right because I got stuff here, there, and everywhere, I can come in and use my mirror command and deselect that. Once the chairs are all done, you wouldn't want to do all that again. So then I could just come over, use my button for ortho to make sure I'm not trying to guess. You never want to try to guess, just put your ortho on, which is F8 on your keyboard, or if you buy a programmable mouse, you can use it for that. So as you can see, this side is not even with the other side of the stage, and that was because of the column locations. So the stage actually was shifted off center. So unfortunately for this side, I will need to do the same thing that I did on the other one. I'll need to just start off with coming back a foot and then finding the same thing that I showed you here. Anyway, if you have any questions, shoot me a message and I will reply. Thank you.